Is Ryan Garcia the new Adrien Broner, or can he fulfill his undoubted potential? Ryan Garcia is one of the most naturally gifted fighters of this generation. But with his wild out-of-the-ring antics and self-inflicted controversies, legal battles, and failed drug tests, is he destined to repeat the mistakes of the maverick Adrien Broner? Or can he break the cycle and go on to fulfill his potential? So stick with me to the end of this one as I try and assess and analyze whether or not I think that Ryan Garcia has got what it takes to go all the way to the top of boxing stardom. Hello everyone and welcome back to A Guy Called Henry, the first video I've done on this channel that's specifically about Ryan Garcia. I've talked about him before on a live stream, and without question this is a fighter that massively divides opinion, that splits the fans right down the middle. But undoubtedly he's a talent and he's a massive star, and I'm just going to put my opinion right out there from the off. He is someone that boxing needs. We don't have that many stars at the moment. There's big fighters, there's super talented fighters, but we don't have many crossover megastars. And without question, with his millions and millions of social media followers, with his good looks, and with his flashy style, Ryan Garcia is that next generation star in terms of the attributes he has. But the question I'm trying to answer in this video is whether or not I think he's going to go all the way, whether I think he's going to make it. And right now, I really feel like Ryan Garcia is at a crucial turning point in his career. I'm going to break down why in this video, but to start the video, I want to play a clip for you from an interview that I've just seen with Ryan Garcia. The full thing I don't think is out yet, but this clip really struck a chord with me, and I really want to talk about it, and I want to look back on his career, and I want to, you'll notice I've compared him to Adrien Broner at the beginning, and we'll talk about that. But for those of you that are hardcore fans, I think you'll know why, but for those of you that don't, we will talk about Adrien Broner and why I think he's such a good fighter to compare Garcia to. By the way, don't forget to bang a like on this video. Don't forget to subscribe to A Guy Called Henry, and don't forget to get your comments in the comment section below. Do you think Ryan Garcia will be the new Adrien Broner, or do you think he can go on and fulfill his very, very high potential?
I'm surprised I'm here right now.
Really?
Wow. Yeah. I was drinking every day, every single day.
I feel like the people around
even the day of the fight. Day of the fight, I just got so involved in just trying to cope with whatever was going on inside. And like I said, I've been struggling mentally for years, and it just wouldn't stop for me. So
what was the turning point?
Turning point is to realize, like, damn, bro, I'm fucking my life up. You know, and getting arrested was a big part of it. Almost losing my kids was a huge part of it.
Can you talk about what happened that day?
I decided to take a bunch of shrooms, and something I was doing already, but this time I took too many. And I kind of just lost it, bro. I can't really say anything else. I mean,
they were saying that you trashed the room.
Oh yeah. I mean, I ended up breaking everything in the room. I really don't remember, bro. I was drunk and fucked up to the.
But to his point, who were you with that day?
The same people you always see me with.
No, and see, this is the thing, though. I'm sure those people love you, but that doesn't mean that they know what's good for you and your career, and your life and your spirit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all. I'm sure the people love you. I ain't trying to knock them. I'm just trying to say, do you think you should have been around that kind of people that's comfortable with you getting drunk?
Right. No, I respect that. And no, man, I feel I just didn't have those type of people.
All right, there you have it. Ryan Garcia there talking about some of his struggles with his mental health, with his addiction issues, with excessive alcohol use, with the use of shrooms, and I'm sure he used other things as well, potentially. So this is it's an interesting video to listen to. I think we all knew that stuff about Ryan. We heard him talking before about how he was just going way too hard, partying every day in camp for the Devin Haney fight. And it shows you the level of talent the guy has, the performance he was able to go in there and put on. Now, obviously, he failed a drugs test as well, so we don't know the extent to which he was enabled by performance enhancers. As I understand it, I've done a bit of reading about Ostarine, the drug that he popped for. And as I understand it, it's something that you would use to maintain muscle mass while you're cutting weight. And we know that he's had issues with being tight at the weight before. He's a big dude for the weights he's fighting at. And after the experience with Tank Davis, where he was so totally weight drained, I wonder how that affected him mentally. Anyway, needless to say, I still think he's capable of putting on a similar performance if indeed he used the Ostarine for what I'm speculating he did use it for. The fact that he popped so close to the fight makes me think that it was for use closer to cutting weight. But it's not something that particularly increases your physical ability to perform. And he came in overweight as well. So the whole thing is just mixed up and confusing, so I'm not going to go too far down that road. I will talk about that again later in this video. But to begin with, I really want to compare the early stages of Garcia and Broner. I want to talk about why I've chosen Adrien Broner as the comparison. The main reason being is that he was a guy that was seen as being an elite young talent, and he was being hyped as the next Floyd Mayweather, very similar to how Ryan Garcia has consistently been hyped as the next Oscar De La Hoya. You know, both Mexican-American, both have that heritage, both have that flashiness, that appeal to a wider audience outside of the ring. They both like to party. Adrien Broner just had so much crap going on around him throughout his whole career, and he looked so good. I don't know if he was ever, even if he fully dedicated himself, I don't know if he was ever going to be a Floyd Mayweather, but the dude was really, really special. Now, he's won, world titles at multiple weight divisions, super featherweight, lightweight, welterweight, but they always had a little asterisk against him. He never really beat an elite opposition in those fights, and he ended up having quite a few losses on his record to guys that, talent-wise, I maybe would have expected him to beat. The biggest area of comparison I can give you is these mental social media rants we see from both of them. And it's strange because, social media's not been around that long, so I'm sure there's been fighters that would have used it in exactly the same way as these two have. But Broner, even now, you see him posting the most bizarre stuff. Ryan Garcia, we've seen him, constantly, postulating conspiracy theories. We've seen him saying things. He was forced to apologize for racial slurs, which is obviously completely unacceptable. Just at times he seemed completely out of control, Garcia, as he's described in that clip there. Same thing with Adrien Broner. He was just constantly getting into trouble, constantly involving himself with nonsense outside of the ring. And you can see how Garcia could get drawn into that path. I think that there are key differences between the two men. As it stands, I think there are glimmers and signs of hope that Ryan Garcia will sort himself out. That clip we've just seen there is a positive thing because he's openly accepted and admitted that he just didn't have the right people around him, the people around him that would pull him up and say, hey, you shouldn't be drinking. It was a really good question from the interviewer there. Why are you around people that are comfortable watching you drink? They might love you as a person, but do they know what's best for you in your career? And Ryan Garcia basically admitted on the spot there that that was exactly the case, that they don't know what's best for him and they didn't know what's best for him. And it is quite troubling. And there's always the talk of hangers-on in boxing. I remember when AJ first came through, he had such a gigantic entourage, and you did sort of think, God, like how many of these people are actually of benefit to him when they're around? And there's been many other fighters like that as well. There's always hangers-on when someone is successful, especially when it's something like, a fight sport where so many sharks, so many dodgy idiots around and just trying to make a quick buck. I think for me, the alcohol abuse is the biggest point of comparison. I think Broner had arrests for DUI, driving under intoxication, and he sort of projected like a sort of almost rapper-like lifestyle, which you're a professional athlete. It's okay to do that if it's complete bravado and you're just trying to create an image, but I think Broner really was out there living like that. And again, with Garcia, the alcohol abuse really troubles me because for an everyday person, if you go out 4 nights of the week, 3 nights of the week, when you're 21, you don't feel it as much. But very, very quickly, you start to realize the effects it's having on your body, especially when you stop drinking and you feel so clear-headed and fresh, and your recovery is so much better. Even when you're just doing basic weight training, your recovery is so much better when you don't drink alcohol. So to think that this guy's an elite athlete, if he really has been drinking and partying as much as he says, doing other substances as well, it's just not going to allow him to achieve that athletic potential that he has. Now, someone made a really good point on the live stream I did when I did speak about Ryan Garcia, and they said, Henry, do you think if you make him too disciplined and strict, if you take away his maverick spirit, is he still the same fighter? And it's a good question. Part of what makes Ryan Garcia who he is and as good as he is the fact that he is a maverick, that he is off the cuff and he dares to try things. He's not afraid of being different. But regardless, this still has to be harnessed and controlled. You need a disciplined training camp. You can be as much of a maverick as you want as long as you stick to a few key principles. One of them, you can't be drinking. You've got to eat right. You've got to train really hard. Outside of that, the maverick thing is okay, but you can't be discriminating against people online and writing racial slurs. He needs to get away from all these conspiracy theories. He can do what he wants after his career, but right now, his focus has got to be on boxing. If he's going to become that megastar that I truly believe he should be, he's got everything he needs to do it. He's got to get away from all this nonsense. And he is, proclaiming to have turned over a new leaf, that he's getting himself on the straight and narrow and finding a balanced way forward. And I don't know if that's true. I really don't. The thing that worries me about him is that normally it's your first big loss in your career that can sort of trigger change and get you to do things a little bit differently. And For Broner, it was the Maidana fight in 2013 when he got absolutely bashed up. I mean, it was a humiliating beatdown for Adrien Broner in that fight, and he never really recovered from it. You could argue, he never really fulfilled his potential after that. He never looked to be the fighter that I thought he was. I mean, after that fight, he literally didn't have a win against a big name opponent. That was kind of it. Now, Ryan Garcia's equivalent moment is the stoppage defeat to Tank Davis. And I know that in that fight, things were against him. He was weight drained. He was beaten quite badly in the end. And I think he was probably a little bit humiliated. He did seem to take the loss well initially, but then he did start acting a bit erratic again afterwards. And it plays into this kind of narrative that there are maybe some mental health issues there. And the thing that concerns me is that he takes this big loss and actually from there he spirals. He becomes, less disciplined clearly with the weight because he managed to make a ridiculously lightweight for that fight with a rehydration clause. And I just wonder if that first loss sort of affected him on a more deep level than perhaps we realized. And that's what concerns me is the way he reacted to that loss. And similar with Broner, Broner never turned a corner off that loss. And the best fighters are the ones that take a loss. They go away, they figure out what they did wrong, and they come back and they get very serious. And I'm very concerned that Ryan Garcia didn't take that loss as a learning experience. There's those horrible cliched sayings: there are no losses, there's only experiences to learn, or whatever it is. You win or you learn. That's sort of the saying. But it is true. It is true in boxing. You do need to, and especially when you're as talented as these guys, there's so many changes, adjustments that you can make to things. It's concerning. Now, Broner went up and down in weight a lot. And with Garcia, we're seeing something a little bit similar in that he is definitely fluctuating massively in weight. I want to talk a bit about the Devin Haney fight now. And really, I think, if my understanding of Austrian is correct, as I said before, the fact he was so far off weight likely because he was partying and whatnot, he's gone and taken this ped that has helped him to maintain his strength and his physicality, but also make weight. I think that after the feeling he had in his body after the Tank Davis loss, rather than going away and getting professional, he's gone away and tried to cut corners, but also avoid that feeling of being drained again. He had to pay a massive fine for missing weight. And he went in there and absolutely destroyed Devin Haney, but then he's gone and failed that test, which, to be honest, has totally tarnished his image. Broner also had legal issues outside the ring, as we all know. And now Garcia's even got that. I mean, I know he had some issues with Golden Boy, but also now him and Golden Boy being sued by that promotional outfit. I think it was in Japan where he was supposed to have that exhibition that they're claiming he feigned an injury, which is why it never happened. And I think purses were paid and things like that. So tricky, it's messy, it's unnecessary, to be honest with you. It's frankly unnecessary. It's hard to ignore that Devin Haney performance because it was so special, but it was totally tainted and tarnished. Really upsetting, and it's so annoying when you're a fight fan and you see something like that happen. And I remember I was in the airport flying home and I watched it on my phone and I thought, wow, what a special display, because we all thought Devin Haney was going to beat Ryan Garcia. We all thought he'd be too slick, too good, too disciplined, too defensively sound. And Ryan Garcia just went in there and completely destroyed him. And I do think that a fit and at it Ryan Garcia can replicate that performance without Austrian in his system. I do believe that. I might be very wrong. Feel free to come at me and, say that I don't know what I'm talking about, and maybe I don't. But I was convinced by Ryan Garcia when I saw him fight Luke Campbell. When he landed that incredible body shot on Luke Campbell, he got chin checks in that fight as well. Just the speed and the power was absolutely exceptional. And that was when I was really sold on him. And that was when I was like, wow, I really want to see this guy do well. I really want to see him kick on and go and win a big fight. And it's such a shame. It's such a shame. It's so hard to ignore. As I say, it's so hard to ignore that Devin Haney fight because of the way he beat him up. Even when you're on something for me, the speed wasn't any different. The speed is always there with that left hook. And for me, Devin Haney had some fundamental defensive flaws in that fight with his guard, with his hand positioning, with the way he reacted to what Ryan Garcia was doing. And frankly, he looked completely shocked by the speed. And that speed's always there. But that's just my opinion. And it's almost unfair on Devin Haney for me to really acknowledge that fight because it's a no contest. It doesn't exist in the records anymore. But the reality is that footage is there for everybody to see. So off the back of that, he's returning to the ring against Rolly Romero on this card. I think it's in April or May. Is it in Times Square? This is the Times Square card, yeah. So the positives here are this. He's still only 25. He's got time to fix this, but he's got to do it right now. Because right now is when, if he makes the right changes, he can still get that longevity out of his body. And he can go and win those big fights. But he has to do it right now. He's got to learn his lessons. He's got to get mentally stable. He has had a break from the game because of his mental health before. And he's had to have another year off. I just don't want this for him. I want to see him regularly fight as a clean athlete at a high level and go and lead the sport forward, because that's what this guy can do for us as boxing fans. This is the guy that can carry the sport forward. I'm absolutely convinced of it. We need Ryan Garcia, unfortunately. You know, I say unfortunately because not because it's him, but just it's unfortunate there's not more stars, but we need Ryan Garcia. I've said it, and I really think he can do this. He has shown resilience before. You know, he has come back from these mental health issues. He's come back and won. Even I know he popped, but he still was able to go in there and perform. And he's come back from that Tank Davis loss. He's now in against Rolly. I expect him to do a demolition job on Rolly. If he goes in there and looks good, then it's all to play for, really, when you think about it. At this point, he's still got plenty of marketability, so those matchups are not difficult to make. Whereas the longer it went on for Broner, the more losses he took. It just affected his credibility too much. So the key things here are to make sure that he doesn't become the new Adrien Broner. No more party. He's got to get rid of the partying. He's got to keep his weight on point. He's got to live a much more disciplined lifestyle. He's got to stay the hell away from these legal issues as well. He needs to get a much, much better management team around him that keep him on the straight and narrow with these legal problems, because it's just not good. It's unnecessary and it's going to ruin his career. And it's just going to be so frustrating to watch. I don't want to have to watch him do this. I really want to just go see him go and excel in the sport. Broner never changed and became a what could have been story. Ryan Garcia can still change his stars. He still has the chance to write a different ending, but he does have to act now and fast. So what do you guys think? Is Ryan Garcia going to go and fulfill his potential? Is he the new Adrien Broner? How do you think he gets on against Rolly Romero? And what are the fights you'd like to see Ryan Garcia in next? Do you think there's another star in boxing that could be bigger than Ryan Garcia, or that could at least contest him to be boxing's #1 star? Because right now, that is the guy that I see. And I hope you've all enjoyed this video. It's a little bit of a different one today. I really wanted to do this video. I saw that interview clip and it just struck me. This guy needs to get his stuff together right now, his S together right now. And he's at a crucial moment. I just feel that he is at the crucial moment right now to turn this around. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. And as I always say, on to the next one.